FanFest is FF14's version of BlizzCon, but unlike BlizzCon, which is one big show, FanFest gets divided up into 3 separate shows, one in NA, one in Europe, and then one in Japan just before the expansion is about to launch. This is not my first FanFest. I went to the one in London a couple of years ago where I learned a lot. In particular, I was baited by my chat into joining into the cosplay competition. I have never cosplayed in my entire life. They put forward that we should cosplay. So what did I do? I did the streamer thing. I went on Amazon, I bought myself a cheap wig and a very cheap overcoat and went out as Tataru, which is what my audience decided to be. And I went out on stage, did my little thing and went off, and I honestly had a great time. Meeting cosplayers is something I've done many times at other conventions, but you just take a picture with them and move on and you don't get to know them. This time, I got to get to know the cosplayers, see what they were putting together, how many months they've been doing. More importantly, when I went for drinks afterwards, I met 2 professional cosplayers who I got to know and chit-chat, who then eventually came to PreachCon, and I got to know them very, very well. They asked me so many times over that period of whether they could make me a cosplay. They wanted to build me a weapon from Bloodborne, my favorite game ever. They wanted to put something together that they would think was a good gift back to have in the environment behind me. But I always said no, because I have nowhere to put these things. When it came to the announcement of FanFest Berlin, once again, I put out there, hey, should I do a cosplay? People said, of course, yes. And then they went off voting. More on that later. So I messaged them, Rainbow Panda. I can either order something off Amazon here, that's all that really matters, or do you want to make something for me? They said they did. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I never saw this. They are based in France. So all I had to do was get measured up, send off my measurements, and they got to work. Over the next few months, they built and put together one of the largest cosplays at the event. Not quite the biggest, but one of the largest cosplays. And the thing is, I never saw it. I never touched it. I never held it. I got a couple of pictures of little bits and pieces being put together as they updated me. And then I started getting messages that how stressed they were running on time. This was causing problems to the point where Anna, one of the main cosplay creators, couldn't even make her own cosplay because she was so focused on mine. This put a lot of pressure on me because I was thinking, have I ruined their FanFest experience? Maybe. But it was so large that I got to go essentially undercover, and the results of that were really, really interesting. So we get to FanFest Berlin. First day is a little rough. There's a lot of people there, more than twice the size of the previous event in London, and it was cramped. There was a huge keynote that was 2.5 hours long. Then people were trying to get food, and we were bustling and all wedged together as we got things done. But one important thing was I still didn't have the cosplay. So a plan was hatched. I was to travel to their hotel room after the first day and get a test fitting, the first ever test fitting of this costume ready for the next day, which would have the big cosplay walk-off thing. I get there, and in the smallest hotel room you can imagine, they bequeathed me this thing. Now, I'm going to be dressed as a giant piece of corn. If you don't know what this is just a fun side quest in Final Fantasy XIV involving something called the Corn Servant, who is out to feed the world. For anybody who's struggling for food, the Corn Servant will provide. He is the golden god of feeding everybody. Here's where the disappointment that I have in Twitch chat comes into fruition. You see, I just told you my audience got to vote on what my costume should be. They did this many, many months ago. There's even a thread on my Discord, right next to the Discord, describing and talking about the people who were at the Berlin FanFest, called Mike Cosplay Suggestions. In there, you can clearly see the suggestion that won was Corn Servant. Everybody had forgotten. Everybody had forgotten, which really surprised me when I got there, tried on the costume, it all worked. Did find out, of course, that inside the costume, they had drawn things like dicks. All sorts of messages were written inside it that only I would ever see. But the next day, when I was doing meet and greets with people, everybody was asking me, where is your cosplay? What are you going to be? Nobody knew. They had all forgotten. Even people who were regulars in my stream, who had come to FanFest, also could not remember what my costume was going to be. And this presented a lovely golden opportunity. Before that though, I have to get the cosplay to the venue. This thing is heavy, very heavy. It's huge. It's built of really thick felt. It's got massive foam head on it. It's got leggings. It's got all sorts of bits and pieces that go with it. In fact, it takes 3 people, including me, to get into the damn thing. It is monstrous. So I managed to book a big taxi to take me to the venue so I could get it all in there. The taxi man, because the roads were closed during parades, could not get me to the venue. I could see a lot of the attendees moving towards the building, but he couldn't drop me where I needed to be dropped. So I had to get out and carry this thing over 20 minutes to get to the venue. I was pouring with sweat in the scorching Berlin heat. It was so heavy, my arms were falling off, and the Square Enix staff themselves actually saw me approaching the building with it and took pictures of me coming towards it, asking themselves, what the hell is he doing and what is he carrying? Which was really nice, because they also came downstairs to help me carry it in. I got a little bit of streamer advantage here. I am not sad about it. I'm so sorry, is that they allowed me to use the media room, the private off area, which is nice and air conditioned, in order to store my stuff so it wouldn't get destroyed or disturbed by anybody else. I didn't have to use the normal cosplay stuff with everybody over the 200 plus people who were now going to be in cosplay at this FanFest. There's a friendly competition that goes on between all the shows, the 3 shows that take place, of who has the best cosplay. NA kind of let us down this year, pretty poor, and I was wondering if EU was going to rise to the challenge, which would then inspire Japan to go even better, which we'll find out later in the year. So, dressed in my gym stuff, knowing that I was going to be very hot wearing this costume, I went out and did a ton of meet and greets with people, met people, did all those kind of things, and then round about 1 p.m, it was time to get into costume. All day, I had refused to tell anybody what I was going to be. I went up to the media room, and my team helped me assemble the costume. Once I was in, the entire room was staring at me. They couldn't believe how big and stupid this giant corn man was. There was only one request that I had from Rainbow Panda, who had built this costume for me, was that she got the very first picture. So she's waiting outside as I left the media room, saying no to any pictures before then, and did my very first picture with her. Then I had to get downstairs. Now, the media room was located exactly next to the dev meet and greet rooms, where people like Naoki Yoshida and Soken, the composer of FF14, were doing meet and greets. I had to get down the biggest flight of stairs in the world, and at this point, you guys should be well aware, I cannot see. I have a view of the floor directly in front of me. If you move more than a meter ahead of me, I have no idea where you've gone, and I am just lost. And now I have to get down all these stairs. So I begin walking my way down. Suddenly, I'm stopped because somebody's shouting behind me. Anna is holding my hand and telling me, as best she can, what steps are in front of me so I can get down these stairs. Only to turn around in the middle of the stairs to see Soken himself, the lead composer of Final Fantasy XIV, looking at me, smiling. He had chased me down the stairs. Anna is now gripping me because she's so worried that I'm about to fall down the stairs. But Soken has seen me coming out and wanted to get a picture. The second picture that took place of the corn servant was in fact Soken himself. The best part about this, as you can see on the video, is after we do the picture, he's holding my hand and he looks inside and I push myself forward because he's asking who's in there, and then he recognizes me as we've met several times and he goes, "Of course it's you." This was monumental because not only was this just a wonderful thing to have happen as the second picture, but I could now, as I've pushed forward, see down into the lobby that I'm emerging into, and an entire circle of a couple of hundred people are now just watching this servant come down. The best thing about this wasn't the attention I was getting, it was that all the stress that Rainbow Panda had been through, not being able to try it on, not being able to modify it. We only cut arm holes into it the night before because I needed access to my arms. Originally I didn't. Was really worried it wouldn't be good enough. It wouldn't work. It would look a mess. It nearly brought a tear to her eye. In fact, she said later that she did shed a tear once she saw how people responded to it, of how happy she was it had worked out. So this was just the best. The smile from ear to ear of what was going on was so good. At the same time, Foxclon, another big deal in the FF14 community, is also taking pictures of me going down the stairs. He's noticed it as well. It was incredible. It was incredible. I finally get down the stairs, and now I'm in the arena. 9,000 people are there, and I'm not sure, because I have never done anything like this before. When I had done my previous cosplay in London, it was just me in a wig and a hat, so it was essentially just Preach. This time, I was invisible. Nobody knew it was me. On some of the photographs, you can make out the glorious bum chin, but in person, certainly in the dark stage rooms, you could not see anything inside of that hole at all. It was a pitch black void. What proceeded to happen over the next hour and a half was over 2,000 pictures. I couldn't move. The Square Enix staff started to have to come with me because I was causing a safety hazard. Not intentionally. I didn't even know where we were because we were so close to doors and thoroughfares and people were stopping to take pictures and to get with me that it was blocking up the area. So we had to be shuffled off to the side and do all sorts of crazy things. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. All I could take in was the squeals of delight of people seeing the corn servant, nothing to do with me at all, and just looking for this picture. It was an experience unlike anything else that I've had, where usually it's like, oh, it's Mike. This was just like, that's just awesome, and I want to be a part of it and take it all in. And the people being so happy. It was essentially like being a mascot at a football game that people just had to get a picture with. We couldn't move more than a couple of meters without someone stopping us. It took over an hour and a half to go maybe 200 meters. That's it, as we tried to explore the area. There were certain things we wanted to get. One was the big dance floor that they had set out in FanFest, as we obviously wanted to go and do the dance floor. We made our way there, and people made a circle around me as I approached it in order to do what little dancing I could do in this costume to get there. Everybody was so welcoming, happy, accommodating. It was a sign of such a wonderful community that I've not seen before, or will probably see again unless I do something similar. And it's experience that I now know you don't have to be somebody of notoriety even in those small niche communities. This was just a guy in a costume just doing things that people wanted to enjoy, and what cosplayers obviously get a big kick out of when they put so much effort into their costumes and then people get to see it in an environment where it makes sense. It was amazing. On the way back, I remembered that they actually had a corn servant minigame. FanFest is full of activities for people to take part in, little minigames, all that kind of stuff, all themed around the game. One of them was the corn servant. So I wanted to get a picture over there. So we wandered over, or I was led, shout outs to my business manager Dups, who chaperoned me through here because I didn't know where I was at any point whatsoever, and took me to the corn servant to get the picture next to the sign. At this point, the Square Enix staff who were running the game ran out and grabbed us quickly, and the whole game is to find the corn servant in a market. There's a piece of corn hidden somewhere in the market that people queue up and they run around and they try and find it, like a supermarket sweep. And they said, please, can you come in here and hide inside, despite the fact that I was 7 feet tall. Sure, we could do that. So they snuck me in the back. Snuck me in the back and hid me inside as people then came in to try and find me. I had no idea because I couldn't see anything. I thought they put a sheet over me. Then I finally saw the video and realized that a guy just stood in front of me holding a sheet in front of me. I did not know that was happening at all in any way, shape, or form while this all went down. It was fantastic fun, super good, but we were running into a problem. I would love to have stayed there for 20 minutes. Heat. There was no ventilation in this costume because they didn't have time to put it in. And after about 20 minutes, although we're over an hour in by the time I did the corn servant game, I could feel just nothing but sweat running down my body. Like, I'm not talking like dripping, running. I could feel it just running down me like a waterfall. I was starting to feel genuinely faint. Holding my arms up because I couldn't rest them on the costume because it would have probably ripped or tore it. So I had to hold my arms in this position so I could give thumbs up and waves and things like that and do gestures. My shoulders were now actually in a pain that I haven't felt in a very, very long time. I was feeling weak. I was getting lightheaded. This was going to be... I have a newfound respect, I tell you, for anybody working theme parks in those costumes and why they only do it for 30 minutes at a time, even in ventilated costumes. It is borderline dangerous, especially with the levels of heat that we were facing in Berlin during this weekend. So I managed to communicate with Nups, although in order for him to hear me, because it was such a void inside, I had to pull him in and like shout, which is why I went mute for most of the costume, most of the time I was in the costume, because nobody could hear me anyway, saying we need to get back to the media room. I have to get this costume off or I'm going to be in trouble. He says, okay, shall we no longer do pictures? It's like, no, we can make it to do the pictures because people will want them, but we need to get back there as soon as possible. Okay, so we started making our way back. Obviously, we're getting stopped all the way. Incredible experience. Again, just people so happy, so delighted that this was going on, and they got to see it. It was astounding. On the way back to the media room, and something occurred to me. Well, there's a lift. I didn't have to use the stairs. I had a giant helm thing on, like a centerpiece that goes on the top of the head, but that was removable with Velcro, so I could take that off and fit inside an elevator, which was fantastic. As I got in the elevator and got upstairs, the staff gave me 3 bottles of water as I downed them and downed them and downed them, and just the revelation, the sight I'm told from the people in the media room when I removed the helmet was like seeing somebody emerge from the womb. It was disgusting. Absolutely gross. So I ran to the bathroom, freshened up as best I could, knowing that I didn't have too long before I had to get back in the costume again, because it was now time for the big stage performance. At this point, I am over the moon with this first cosplay experience, but I'm also somewhat dreading getting back in the costume. Having done this before in London, I know there's quite a large waiting period before you actually get on the stage while the staff are organizing you, getting you ready. This is what happened next. With about 10 minutes before we had to be at our meeting point, I put the costume back on, braced myself, had as much water as I possibly could, and then went back out into there. Again, took the lift downstairs, which was great, and went out into the arena, ready to go inside. Now, I couldn't see again, but thankfully I was with Chris, who was also joining me on stage in his Namazu costume, who took me into this room. Now, again, I got some privilege here. I'm not going to lie, I got some privilege. We had to wait for 40 to 50 minutes in this one room that did not have air conditioning in. I managed to find some ways of getting a bit more comfortable. It was using hula hoops in order to bolster out the costume. So I could lift the bottom hula hoop and put that on something so I wouldn't break the costume, so I could rest my butt for at least for a few minutes at a time. An advantage was it was so spacious inside, I could use my phone, so I took a picture of me pouring with sweat inside this costume, just waiting. This is just me stood still, let alone being animated or walking around, just dripping. At this point, one of the staff members came over because they wanted pictures with me, and then they went away and checked the list of who was in the corn servant costume, and it didn't say Mike Preach Wow or Preach Gaming. It actually said my character name, but thank God they recognized my character name. The floor inspector, they went, the floor inspector's in there, and then they came back saying, Preach? I said yes, and they went, do you need water? Yes. And they had to feed a water bottle through my eye hole in order to get water to me while I was in the costume. It was incredible. I was so thankful, and thankfully they then came out with cases of drinks for people who were also waiting in the area so they could get some hydration in them as well, because it was very hot in that arena. At this point, I start seeing other people's cosplays. If I pulled the costume forward so my face was essentially sticking out, I could look around the room and I see that EU nailed it. The level of cosplays was so good. And then what really blew my mind is to my right, a cosplay came in that involved an entire team of people to bring in, and they were ushered into a separate area. They'd obviously made them aware earlier of how large this thing was, that they would need extra accommodations, and I wouldn't see them again until way later. As the time approached to get on stage, our number was called. Off we go. This is it, the big moment. And this is where I started to run into another problem. I couldn't see where to go. Thankfully, they had actually taped the floor to give arrows, but I was trying to follow Chris as best I could as to where the hell to get into the queue to get on stage. Once we got there, I noticed that the giant cosplay was now situated to the right of the stage, and they'd been given a separate area to wait, and thankfully for good reason, because it was so enormous. But as the people tick down and more of the cosplayers go out, it's time. I don't really know what to do on stage. I only have my arms. That's it, in a little way to do something. And it's time to get out there. Chris goes ahead of me. He walks out, and I don't know where I am, because he's gone out way ahead of me, which he's supposed to do. He's gone way ahead of me, so I have just my sort of internal GPS as to where the hell to go. And so I go onto the stage and I know mentally where I am until I see that Chris is facing the wrong way. And I can catch him out the corner of my eye as I'm walking forward, and he's facing where I think is the back of the stage. And now, because I can't see, and I can only see the floor immediately in front of me, I immediately panic. Because if I start gesturing, but I'm facing the wrong way, this is going to be the biggest disaster ever, and I will never live this down. Oh, so many thoughts run through my head. So very quickly, I started moving my head around like an idiot inside and finally catch a glimpse of the ceiling lights, which means the audience is that way. And what Chris has done is turned around to present me in this manner, and it all made sense. So I started gesturing and doing my things as it came out. It pulled off perfectly. It could not really have gone better. It was so good. I then turn around, grab Chris, and follow him off the stage the correct way, get out of there, where I got trolled again. One of the Square Enix PR team, who's actually been one of our main contacts in organizing getting to FanFest and doing media tour and things like that, is waiting for me backstage. In the most serious voice you can imagine, he grabs me and he says, "Mike, I know you've just had a good time, but I need to take you away right now and do something." And I was, to say it shocked me into reality, like very quickly. I was like, whoa, this is either I've got to go and do something important, or I've done something wrong, or they want me for more pictures. And at this point, all in, I've been in this costume for about 4 hours, and I'm dying. I am in a really bad way. By the time we got on stage and everything was all said and done, I was in a really, really bad way. And I was like, I need to get out of this and get water in me. I need, not just water, I've lost every mineral. I've lost every resource at this point. I am drained of everything to keep myself going. And it's like, you need to come with us. We have to go and do something right now. And I'm so sorry. I was like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Nothing. You're fine. You can go. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was the worst experience. It was the absolute troll of trolls to have this happen at that point. I couldn't believe it. When I came back out again, I thought we should try and get as many pictures as possible. There's more people here now who might want pictures with the corn servant. So I said, let's try and just do 10 minutes in the arena to do the last pictures before because I'm never putting this thing back on again right now. Go out there, but I immediately wobbled when I was walking, and I said, stop. No, we have to get out of this. This is this is too dangerous. I'm actually going to be in trouble here. We don't want to have heat stroke. That would be a really bad ending to this day. So I was like, stop. Let's go back. I need to get it off and take the thing off. Once again, I emerged like from the womb in this cosplay, but being undercover, and then the best part is afterwards. Once some people guessed it was me. Some people figured it out because I was with Chris, but the general audience didn't realize it was me because they didn't recognize things like the Preach Gaming band. Some people recognized on my arm I had the band on. They've been guessing throughout the cosplay competition who I was, but yeah, I'll recognize that Chris in the Namazu, but a lot of the general audience had no idea. And I took over 2,000 pictures with this thing. So when it came out, we then put it out on social media, like, I'm the corn servant type of thing. The feedback was incredible. People like, that was you? Oh my God, I've been looking for you all weekend, and I have a picture with you, and I had no idea it was you. I got to meet you. I didn't get a chance to, just floods of it, of like the revelation of like, I can't believe that was you. I'm looking for you everywhere. This is incredible. This is great. Like, it could not have gone better. It could not have gone better. And all I wanted to say at the end of this is, if you're not into cosplay because you think it's lame or whatever or something like that, I'm with you. I was there all the way until you do it, and it's such a fun, wild experience to take part in. It's so wild. It's so fun. It was one of those things where even if you're an introvert, you're kind of hidden, you know? If you want something that's got a helmet on, you're kind of hidden. And a lot of introverts take part in cosplay, which seems different, but obviously it's masking, and it's not you in a way, and you get to do something else. And I just have to give so much respect, so much love to Rainbow Panda and her partner, who spent months building this thing, had to have this thing flown from France in a flight case, take it back, and are going to be shipping it here. And I can't wait in the future when you see in the video, seeing our videos, that there's a giant corn man standing in the background, that you understand where it's come from. Can't recommend it enough. Amazing. And I just loved it so much. But that's how I went undercover at Berlin Fan Fest.